Welcome back, everybody. It is September 10th, 2018, 12:51 p.m. Another quick update for you. You are currently looking at Category 4. Once again, Florence has reached Category 4 status. That did not take long, and all that does is rise the chances that this thing could possibly hit Category 5. It may die down a little bit before it makes landfall, but according to meteorologists, if this thing strikes above South Carolina, this will be the strongest storm, hurricane-wise, as a Category 4 to make landfall ever above South Carolina. That's what they're saying now. Most models are projecting a North Carolina landfall, but certainly the storm is big enough that it will affect South Carolina and Virginia as well. Most models are pointing in that direction, but the fact that this thing has rapidly intensified twice now, if you guys remember early on when Florence first came off the coast of the west coast of Africa, it intensified quickly to a 4 and then died down due to a shear wind event. And now that it has cleared that path and it's in nothing but warm water, it has skyrocketed right back to a Category 4, 130 mile an hour winds. That is official. Some of the charts haven't even updated yet to this. As you will see here, this is a first alert. If I can get these silly ads out of the way. Florence is now a Category 4 hurricane, and more strengthening is expected. We do have mandatory evacuations going on. Let's see here. The likelihood of a strike from Hurricane Florence increases. Authorities are making preparations. We obviously know that. Hatteras Island, North Carolina, will be under mandatory evacuation starting Monday afternoon. That is, as of right now, mandatory evacuations are going on for Hatteras Island. The governor in South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia, we already know this, declared state of emergency. We now know why. We are dealing with a Category 4 hurricane, guys, and even though we do have some more time before it gets to the coast, it's all warm water. There's no shear wind in its path as of right now. You could see here, even the mainstream news is talking about how people are flocking to buy supplies at this point. Again, as I said before, guys, there's only so many places this storm has left to go, and it can only go into the South Carolina, North Carolina region based on a high pressure we have going on in the North Atlantic right now by the East Coast, which is completely being saturated right now with a separate system. It's like an atmospheric river that's running from basically Texas all along the entire middle of the country to the northeast. So once Florence hits, we're going to be dealing with that as well, depending on if Florence is going to sit still or if Florence is going to come inland and then get mixed up with the big trough that we have going on all the way across the country. Now, we also have to really pay close attention to this disturbance in the Gulf, because this thing may be hitting at the same exact time that Florence is hitting the Carolinas, which would be just a lot to deal with at once. And this thing hasn't jumped up since my last update. It has 40%. You could see on some of the charts that it is a pretty significant buildup of storms. You can see a lot of dark colors. A lot of those telltale signs that you see before you see a tropical cyclone form. But just look how tight these spaghetti plots are now, guys. And this is basically a North Carolina landfall. We got one here that's basically just south of the border of North Carolina, making it a South Carolina landfall. Regardless, you could see where most of this is going to go down. And then what you don't notice now is that you don't see any more curls off into the ocean. And that is because they believe this storm is going to stay put for a while. And that will just make things 10 times worse. Not that a Category 4 isn't bad enough, but for a Category 4 to hit and then just sit here and spin is just, it's going to be something that we have not seen in this country in a long time. And then again, this stat really staggers me. I'm very surprised about this, that if this thing does hit as a Category 4 in North Carolina, it will be officially the strongest hurricane to ever hit north of South Carolina at that size. So We have that to look forward to as well. This is the latest cone of uncertainty. You could see the dark purple is where they believe this storm is going to go. This is a North Carolina landfall according to this chart. That is not set in stone. I'm not saying that that is exactly what's going to happen. I am just repeating information that I'm getting on almost a 10-minute basis. Caroline sent me a bunch of great info that it would become a Category 4 within the next couple hours, and I actually didn't believe it. I thought it would take a little longer than that, but this thing is now officially a Category 4 storm. I want you to look really quick before we end this video at the rain rates. When you see colors like this, that is just unbelievable with those yellows and then that tannish color. If you match over here, 7 to 10 inches of rainfall with this storm. Now, that's not counting what's already going on over the northeast. And depending on how long this storm sits here, we could be seeing upwards of 20 inches of rain. And then you have to take into account the storm surge. A Category 4 storm moving into, let's say it does make that landfall in North Carolina, the storm surge could be over 12 feet. That is the ocean rising 12 feet into the coastlines, which is exactly the reason why parts of the Outer Banks and Hatteras Island is being evacuated mandatory, and you will see more evacuations. Now, I'm going to start getting those links out for the evacuation routes and how to contact different websites to know where to go if you live in an area that is being evacuated. Now, we could see evacuations all the way from Chesapeake Bay down into South Carolina. That is not an exaggeration whatsoever, based on the fact that this storm is now Category 4. So you will be seeing a lot of talk about this. There will be tons of videos about this Category 4 now. And what we need to do is just keep an eye on it and see if there's any chance of it weakening before it hits land. Now, there are some charts showing that the second it does get to North Carolina, that it'll be downgraded to a Category 2. Still, that is a devastating storm, especially if it is sitting half on land, half on water. That means that it's just going to be spinning counterclockwise, pulling water from the ocean, dumping it on land, and then as it spins back around, it's going to recycle once again and just keep pouring water and water and water onto the coast of these areas here. As of now, this may change. It may shift a little south. It may shift a little north. That is why these updates are so important, and that is why I'm making multiple videos today. I know they're quick, and I'm just trying to get to the point here, but the fact that this thing it's not even updated on these charts yet, that this is a Category 4 storm. They're still calling it Category 3, but as you could see on these different websites, it is officially a Category 4 storm. This was from about an hour ago. So within the last hour, this storm has went from about 115 miles an hour sustained winds to being a Category 4 with nothing but warm water ahead of it. You could see here a tweet by Bill Walsh basically confirming that this has become a Category 4 storm now, and he's also mentioning how the sea surface temperatures near 85 degrees with very little shear is basically not a good thing. It means that this will more than likely not go down in size as it approaches the East Coast. So we very much could be seeing a Category 4 landfall, North Carolina, possibly South Carolina. Still a little bit of time for wiggle room in that aspect, but nonetheless, more than likely, guys, we're going to be seeing a major hurricane landfall on the East Coast. So any more updates, I'm going to be right here to update you guys, but main point here is we are back to Category 4. This is the second time Florence has been a Category 4 storm. It was actually Category 4 about 5 days ago, once again before that shear wind event. All right, that's what I have for you for now, guys. Thank you for sticking with me. I will be back in a few hours with another update. Have a good day. Stay dry. Stay safe. Bye-bye.